Good afternoon, and welcome. How many of you were in the AI session earlier today? A few of you. Okay. For the rest of you, thank you for joining. I was just chat-GPTing what is siesta time in Spain. I think this is the perfect peak siesta time in Spain, so that's why we have a few more stragglers. But my name is Sudhir Mata. If I haven't met with you, if you haven't been in a session yet, I am the Senior Vice President for Products at HPE Networking, came in from the Juniper Mist side. We'll tell that story in a moment. But before we get started, just a quick question. How many of you are existing Aruba customers? Show of hands, about 60, 70%. How many of you have never seen a Mist demo? Very good, thank you. You're in the right place. The rest of you, you're gonna actually have a nice siesta because you've seen this demo over and over again. It's gonna be boring. It's the same old stuff. But I'm speaking to the 70% of people that have never seen a Mist demo. We're going to change your world today. In the next 45 minutes, you're going to, touch the future. So, with that, without further ado, we have a great panel. Mittal Parekh is our Senior Director for Marketing for Campus and Branch. But the star of the show is Kevin McCartin from Musgrave. Musgrave is a retailer in Ireland rolling out a full-stack Mist network. So you're going to have a marketing story, and I will be sandwiching between them and doing a live demo of Mist. So that'll be fun. I thought, the backup to a live demo, I should record my demo, and then I recorded it and put it on YouTube. And I just realized if the network is down, YouTube will also be useless. So hopefully the network is going to be up and running and we could actually do the demo. But good afternoon and welcome. And without further ado, Mittal, you're up. Rock and roll.
Thank you, Sudhir.
There's the clicker.
Excellent. All right, folks, thanks for joining. Look, here's the thing. Time is one of the most valuable things that we spend, and you all have chosen to spend next 45 minutes with us. So I assure you that at the end of these 45 minutes, you all will walk away with something useful that you can take and apply to your jobs no matter where you are from. So Sudhir asked you all whether you have Aruba or you have Mist. I'm here to first thing tell you is that you have made the right choice, whether it's Aruba or Mist. And at the end of this presentation, you will get hints, and tomorrow it will be quite apparent. So be honest with me. How many of you thought about what is operationalizing a full stack? As in, what are they going to talk about? You knew Juniper Mist, but was the word very clear, operationalizing? It's okay to say yes or no, but here's the thing. All in all, what we are going to talk about is how HPE, and I'm going to say this one time and then we'll cut loose the branding aspect, but HPE Juniper Networking Mist or HPE Aruba Networking either delivers self-driving networks that allow you to deliver the best end-user experience for every user, every device, every single minute. It's not about network being up, it's about end user experience. So let's hit it. If it allows me.
I gotta click on the presentation once. So yeah, I think, there you go. Good.
All right, so before I go any further, I have to show you this slide. Okay, these are forward-looking statements. We'll probably share with you something above and beyond, so please take care of that. Ask us questions, but you must read it for a moment. Okay, late breaking news. Before we get into the agenda, 2 days ago, CRN just rolled out their Product of the Year awards, and in AI software category, Juniper Mist was identified as the winner. We did not write the application. It's not that we bought this. This was done by our partners. They all voted on it, okay? And you should look at names of the finalists. I'm not going to read it for you, but you should look and compare. One of the names, at least one of the names is going to be super familiar to you, okay? And by the end of this presentation, you all will come to conclusion that this was well delivered. This was well earned. Scored highest for technology and customer needs. It is not about technology. Turn it around, it's all about customer needs. And I can tell you that Juniper Mist or Aruba Central, but let's focus on Mist, delivers on that. So this is not a sales pitch. I am neither from Aruba side nor from Juniper side. Okay, I am 3 months old at HPE and I come from a competitor. So everything I'm going to share with you, I've competed against this. And the rule is very simple. If you cannot beat, you join. Okay, so hit it. 4 things we are going to discuss. I want to talk about our vision. Only vision is to drive exceptional end user experience by delivering self-driving networks. Okay, and you are going to get a demo of that by Sudhir. I can talk all day long about all these things with slides. Sudhir can give you demos all day long, but as we call it in America, proof is in the pudding. So we are going to ask one of our customers to come and share their experience, and that should seal the deal. Once you are convinced, we are going to share with you few call to actions as to how can you benefit from it. So at the highest level, this is what we stand for. Now that HPE has acquired Juniper, we have come together under one single umbrella, HPE Networking. It's one team, one vision. You are going to hear this again and again. You heard Rami today. You are going to hear from Sujay and others tomorrow. Idea is very simple, is that now while we have 2 parallel tracks, both the teams are working towards the same goal of delivering the best end user experience for every user, every device, every minute at an application level, and along the way, help each other by sharing technology know-how, by sharing people, processes in order to run faster or the fastest on both the rails. So all of you, I'm sure, have gone through this experience. A typical Zoom, Teams, any video conferencing experience, you would rather have this than the previous one. But the problem is your existing network management software cannot tell this to you right when it happened, why it happened, how can this be avoided, and in many cases, can you put something in place such a way that this never happens again? This right now with any other vendor, if you want to go and track this, you must have that IT person replicating it, waiting in the wings, trying to see if this happens again, and then run through logs and so on and so forth. Gone are those days. Once you adopt Juniper Mist, you don't have to go through this. This is like your 24/7 CT scan, always scanning your network. Every single user application minute is being inspected and ensured that it delivers the best end user experience. So this is what you get once you adopt the solution. How do we do it? We keep a close eye on the network as if an IT person is sitting there right next to you, fixing your network, or at least telling IT exactly what happened, how it happened, how to fix it, and how to avoid it next time. So on both these rails, be it Aruba or Mist, we are consistently driving towards the same end goal, that's delivered self-driving networks. It's very similar to autonomous car or the path that automobile industry took, going from cars with sensors all the way to full self-drive, right? I have experienced most of it on the right side. If you have self-driving cars in your cities, then you have experienced the full self-drive, and you know exactly what it means. The same thing is with networks, and the final frontier, that is fully autonomous self-driving network. That's what we are driving towards. Now, let me pause for a second, and people who raise their hands about knowing Mist, how many of you know that now we have self-driving network or self-driving actions in Mist? Okay, so these are fewer hands than initially I saw. So first piece of information, that there are 4 self-driving actions already in the software. How many of you know out of these that some of those are by default on, as in the network will fix itself? Well, this is piece of information number 2, that there are use cases where it is turned on by default and the network is going to fix itself. So please do read documentation, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And all these things are made possible with microservices architecture and agentic AI. Sufficient to say that together they allow us to deliver self-driving actions and ultimately self-driving networks on Juniper Mist. Now, one vision, one team, how does that fit in here? Logic is very simple. I started out by saying that we had 2 teams working towards the same goal, but now they are sharing microservices such a way that you can take knowledge from here and put it in here. It's like saying now you get to run at 2x the speed while burning the same amount of petrol. How cool is that? And this is happening right now. And Sudhir is going to show you a demo of that one. Okay? This is exactly why before the acquisition closed, just a month prior to that, Gartner rated Mist as well as Aruba in the leaders quadrant. Okay? I know many a times we just look at the dot and say move on, but if you analyze that x, y coordinate, one is completeness of vision, and the second one is ability to execute. So what does it mean? Both these solutions, both these platforms were well on their way ahead of many other competitors. 30 years in a row, they were leaders, and now they've been pushed to the left on both the axes, ability to execute and completeness of vision. Now imagine this, both these powerhouses are coming together. How fast, how well, how better will we be able to run now that we have unlocked the recipe? And the recipe is microservices architecture and agentic AI, right? I know that for some of you, these are buzzwords. We are more than happy to unpack, give you parallels, but let me give you one example. You know that most of us, or rather all of us, experience this every single day, we just don't realize. Mostly half of you have Android phones and half iOS. All of us use LinkedIn. Just take one example, LinkedIn application. You know that 90% of the code is the same. When a developer develops that application or churns out the update, 90% of the code is the same, whether you build an IPA file or an APK file. Only the last mile is different. So why should it be different for delivering self-driving network, for managing a network? It should be the same. And now that we have unlocked that one, we are able to take goodness from here and put it in here, and goodness of here and put it in there. That's how we are able to run faster. And that's why both these companies are ahead and in the leaders quadrant. Again, we share a common blueprint. In 5 months, we have done this that others or one of our lead competitors, they haven't been able to do in 10 years. In 5 months, we have been able to achieve this. And that's because of agentic AI and microservices. Same code base applied 2 times, what we call write once, deploy twice, more or less. that results in self-driving network. So enough of all these theories, right? Let me give you 4 examples. Just 4 examples from variety of industries, and these are 3 of these are publicly quoted customers, so I should be able to take names as well. For one, we'll just go with the generic name. So let's talk about the very first one, okay, is one of the retailers here. It's in US, it's in EMEA. We all are aware of that retailer, the Gap. They replaced the entire stack from Cisco to Mist. 24,000 APs, 1:1. And the results were astounding. 85% reduction in truck rolls. If you are in IT, you know how expensive, how time-consuming are those truck rolls. 85% reduction. 97% reduction in associate complaints about using iPad applications. Remember I told you about delivering the best user experience for every device, every user, every minute? It also applies to associate using that iPad. Let's talk about another customer, ServiceNow. You all know about them, ITSM company. They started with a very simple problem, and that is CEO's Wi-Fi was bad, Wi-Fi experience. That's years 2018. That was the chance that Mist got to go and fix it. In 90 days, Mist became global standard for Wi-Fi. 21, it was switching. 22, it was SD-WAN. And 24, I believe, 23 was SD-WAN and 24 was NAC. Full stack Mist experience at ServiceNow. 70% reduction in operational expense, 70% reduction in OpEx. It's across the board. Best end user experience. So, and how do we know that? 90% reduction in helpless tickets. Okay. The third one is a major healthcare provider in the US, the largest one, 110,000 APs, switches, and more, and they are experiencing the best end user experience. They are also using wayfinding, using BLE, and there is no looking back. 90% reduction in staff complaints. And the last one is educational institution. Few of the names you are well familiar with. Oxford, Imperial College. In the US, we have Stanford, Dartmouth College, and Dartmouth College is already out there on the web, so there you go. However, because this is cloud native, microservices based, it is highly elastic. So just because I rattled off big names, you might say, oh, but I'm not this big, or my customer is not this big. Well, this is pretty elastic. We have examples of SMB, mid-market, as well as large and the largest of the largest enterprises. So it scales up, it scales down, it's the right fit for everyone. Just how do we do it? How and why did they adopt this solution? We deliver client-level visibility. This is not about how that AP is doing, how that switch is doing. This is about how is the experience at that client-level visibility. Enough said about how we deploy AI to automate day 0, day 1, and day 2 through N. I talked a lot about microservices architecture, and last but not the least, digital engagement with VBLE, BLE, Bluetooth. The whole idea is very simple. We are able to track every user, every device, no matter where they are in the enterprise, to unlock those use cases. It's the confluence of these that allows these enterprises to deliver the best end user experience. Now, back to my buddy Sudhir. He is going to show you everything I just mentioned. Sudhir, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mittal.
You're welcome.
All right, let's actually see the product. So we will do rapid fire. I'm just going to play my demo so I could just talk through it. So I was there at Mist from almost the very beginning, and the philosophy has been around, as Mittal talked about, is every user, every minute experience, right? Is being able to actually understand user experience, every user, every minute, right? When the company started, I was sitting in Customer Network Operations Center listening to calls saying, hey, what are the top 10 issues you're having? One particular engineer in South Africa, he said, Sudhir, I actually don't have 10 problems. There's only 2 problems in Wi-Fi. Problem number 1, people call in and say, I can't connect to the network. The only other problem is Wi-Fi sucks. And so we said, literally, if we could put physics behind this experience of why can't users connect or why is their experience not good? That was the entire premise of the whole company. And so we said, okay, if we could measure user experience, every user, every minute, I could answer the question whether a user was in good coverage, bad coverage, having good capacity, bad capacity, every user, every minute. The largest Mist network deployed in the world right now has 400,000 access points in one customer, 90,000 switches deployed at that customer. They have 3 million devices connected to their network right now in production. If you pick one iPhone of those 3 million and said, hey, can you tell me how that iPhone is doing? We have the data, right? When you have data like this, every user, every minute, then you say, okay, 76% of the time devices are connecting happy and healthy. What's that 24% of failure? Without a single click, I want to be able to answer the question, hey, is it DHCP? It's always DHCP according to some of my friends here. Is it Radius? Is it ARP? Really, this is where the truth is, right? The data doesn't lie. So when you measure this data, every user, every minute, and you could say, okay, exactly when did a problem start? Whom did the problem impact? What type of device types, device OSs? Because again, every other vendor can tell you if something is failing 100% of the time. What if something is failing only 1% of the time? This MacBook Pro is failing 1% of the time. I want to know exactly what is that 1%. That could be a student taking an exam. That could be an IoT system on the manufacturing line. When a failure happens, I want to have the packet capture waiting for me in the cloud. Why? Because this is the power of having data, so you don't have to go and try to reproduce a problem. I could actually just have the data with me. So every single failure, whenever it happens, including the first time, if a failure happens, we have a packet capture waiting in the cloud. We filed this patent 10 years ago, and others are still trying to get to this, right? So, but this is a lot of data. Every user, every minute data, a lot of data. You may say, but I don't have the time or the people to be reading packet captures and the tea leaves of packet captures. At MIT, 7 million state transitions happen every day, 700,000 PCAPs. How many of them do they look at? 0. Why? Because this is the cup of coffee view for Marvis. So Marvis is basically our AI engine. We'll talk about agentic AI in a moment. But basically what Marvis is doing is, without connecting to your DHCP, Radius, DNS systems, it is observing the data and is actually saying, aha, this is something wrong. My magically DHCP service is down. I got to do something about it, right? And so this is AI at work for you. For me, AI is not artificial intelligence. AI is quite simply actionable insight. When Mist was founded, we really didn't have big AI vision. Bob's a young guy, but his master's thesis 42 years ago was in AI. So Mist benefited a little bit from Bob's study in AI 40 years ago. But anyway, the point being, Marvis is never wrong, is my assertion. There's many Mist customers in the room. They will tell you, yeah, but is that always true? I am telling you, if Marvis is ever wrong, you call my personal cell phone number and I will fix it for you. We take this seriously. We mean business. If AI is creating noise for you, it's useless. AI should be actionable insight, and that's what Marvis does. We've taken tremendous pride in driving efficacy into this. This is the old conversational assistant. ServiceNow asked me, you know what? people call in and when they call for a troubleshooting experience, they don't know what a MAC address is. They couldn't care less what their device is and all this kind of stuff. Why can't I just say, show me who's having a bad Wi-Fi day? That's what we did. And so, voila, it'll tell you exactly who's having a bad Wi-Fi day. And then, once you have this up and running, you could even compare that with, is this the only user having issues and stuff. Wow, I was talking fast, but it really can't be 10 minutes though, because I got to get a customer online. This is a 45-minute session, right? Not 35, yeah. So, okay, let me finish the demo. So all of this is great. We just did this all in the first few years of Mist. And then we said, one CIO, he said, Sudhir, this is awesome, but I can't have me reacting to people all the time. I want to be proactive. And if you were in the AI session, Kevin Brew talked about Marvis Minis. Marvis Minis is basically without sensors, without agents, without anything deployed on your network, just the access points in the ceiling. Digital twins running on these access points wake up every hour, and then they say, aha, you're dropping users on these VLANs, and I'm just going to automatically wake up and validate the VLANs are good for DHCP, DNS, radius, and application reachability. Again, we've made significant advancements since this. Again, in the spirit of just getting you up to speed on where we are, this is Marvis Minis. What it is doing is essentially validating the network continuously. What we've done in the last 6 months or so is we've deployed Marvis Minis around the world, even outside of people's networks. And so now we have data and application data beyond just your local network. And by the way, whenever there is a failure here, I have a packet capture waiting for you. So even with no users on your network, we're able to identify failure. And when there is a failure, we're able to actually give you a packet capture. Right? It's game-changing what Marvis Minis does, meaning if you actually do a firewall change on a Sunday night and Monday morning, if you want to know every single site that you have network deployed, every single VLAN, every single SSID, you will have the right experience, Minis will validate it. Then the next hard problem in networking is understanding Teams and Zoom experience. What we've done with Mist is we've actually integrated natively with Teams and Zoom, meaning we literally connect to Teams and Zoom, bring that experience back, and put it next to the network data and say, for this particular Teams call, how was the network doing? And was the network a contributor to it? This is the hardest problem in networking because, obviously Zoom conveniently will say, oh yeah, you're having a network problem. Or Teams will say your network is slow. They don't know. They're lying most of the time. So we have the proof. We have the proof on exactly what's contributing. And this example here is this individual particular user. I want to know what kind of Teams calls have happened, what are the loss latency jitter of this, and then be able to say, exactly what was happening for that particular call. And here you could see in this instance, it was VPN that was causing failure, right? So anyway, to sort of sum this up, I want to turn it over to Kevin. Truly, we've built a system with very granular data, collected, collated, and curated that to be able to actually make meaning of that data, turn it into actionable insight, and then layered over that a proactive Marvis Minis engine, and then brought in additional AI to it. I haven't even gone into the agentic AI piece because we talked about this in a couple of other sessions. And this is the self-driving Marvis Actions piece that Mittal was talking about, is being able to actually let your network fix problems even without IT waking up, right? This is truly game-changing. By the way, Mist started as a Wi-Fi company. Then we added, switching to it, Juniper EX switching, completely 100% managed through the Mist cloud. Then we added SD-WAN to the portfolio, natively managed. So session smart routing and the SRXs are deployed through the Mist cloud. And then, of course, most recently, we've added Access Assurance, which is our NAC product, a completely cloud-enabled NAC. There's a session for that. And this cloud-enabled NAC, we have one customer, hospitals, clinics, ICUs, emergency rooms, 2 million devices on Cloud NAC deployed in production right now. This is the largest deployment of cloud-based NAC for any vendor across the entire world that I am aware of, that we are aware of. And so, truly awesome stuff. But I think we could go on and on for this. Why don't I turn this back to a real customer example? Kevin, come on up, and let's talk about your experience at Musgrave.
There you go. Perfect. Hi, everyone. So my name is Kevin McCartan, and I'm the Network Solution Architect at Musgrave. So just over the next few minutes, I'll be taking you through Musgrave's network transformation journey over the last couple of years. So let me get started with a quick overview of Musgrave. Musgrave is Ireland's leading food retail, food service, and wholesale company, operating brands like SuperValu, Centra, and Musgrave Marketplace. It's a highly distributed network and fast-moving business, and that in itself can bring some real network challenges. We're delivering a full-stack wired, wireless, and SD-WAN network transformation across 700 sites over 3 years. To date, we've deployed to 500 sites, and we remain on track to complete within our rollout time. Before we started on our journey, we identified some pain points on the legacy network infrastructure. And it was becoming obvious that the network was starting to hinder our business rather than enabling our business. From our legacy end-of-life equipment to slow troubleshooting and manual deployments, complex distributed network management. And for a business that relies on always-on connectivity from our POS systems, credit cards, and digital services, it just wasn't sustainable for us. So Musgrave knew exactly what we needed to do next. So we needed better visibility and control across the retail estate. We needed the ability to validate our wireless coverage across our shop floors. We needed support for our digital innovations and our reduced operational overheads. And what made the difference for us was the AI-driven insights from Juniper Mist. Proactive troubleshooting, API-first architecture, enabling seamless integration, AI-driven insights and actions, and the single dashboard management. And on this slide are 4 key transformational results from our journey. So starting with faster network cutover times. On our legacy infrastructure, cutovers were a huge pain for us because they required 4 separate IT teams, store security, store staff, all coming together late at night simply because hardware changes just couldn't be done during trading hours. But with Juniper Mist, that changed entirely. The zero-touch provisioning means we can bring the SRX online over cellular, where it calls home to Mist automatically, pulls down the configuration, and builds the required VPNs using the Mist SD-WAN. And because our core network applies a local preference to the MPLS learned routes, the live site remains on the legacy stack while the SRX is fully built in parallel. This is without any disruption to the store services. And when the engineer is ready to switch over, it's straightforward. You just simply move the switch stack onto the SRX, followed by the primary WAN link. And since the SRX is already configured, tested, and in sync, the cutover process is down to 30 seconds. It's so quick. So this is reduced cutovers from a multi-team overnight operation to a single team working safely during trading hours, dramatically improving our rollout efficiency and increasing the number of stores completed per week. Second point on the slide is AI-driven proactive resolution. Manual site surveys they're a thing of the past really for us. In our very first proof of concept site, we used to, I actually went and manually configured each Mist access point, because that was the way that we always had done it before on the legacy equipment, basing it on a full site wireless survey. But our Mist SE said to us straight after, he said, don't configure anything there, trust the process and let the AI handle it. And they were right, because reinforcement learning handled all the RF optimizations automatically. And the proof is that with 500 sites now live, we have not had one RF profile ticket logged to us. Second to this point is bad cable detection. Again, first proof of concept. Marvis identified 4 bad cable issues for us. 3 of them were the devices were negotiating 100 meg instead of 1 gig, which wouldn't affect really day-to-day PC use, but for PoE devices, it was a big issue, and anything that relied on the full gig performance. The 4th issue was a cable causing port flapping. Again, the user didn't raise a ticket because the device would eventually start working again, albeit slowly. But Marvis surfaced that for us straight away, allowing us to be able to replace the cables before there was any real disruption in store. Next point is faster preparation speed. So with the manual approach, site prep can usually take up to about an hour to complete. But now with API-driven provisioning, we've cut that down to just 1 minute to prep a site. So when prepping a site, there are lots of field names, drop-downs, tick boxes, floor maps, switch rules, devices that need to be assigned. But with a programming language like Python and the Mist APIs, we are able to provide a tool to our prep team that automates that process of creating a site on Mist with just a few clicks. Last point is improved in-store experience. Staff now have a seamless, uninterrupted connectivity for critical tasks like stock taking and product ordering, which is improving overall retailer efficiency and operational productivity. One example of inefficiency that we identified on the legacy network is that our retailers would often work around service degradation rather than log in a ticket with us. So one example of this is a site that had wireless handhelds and were experiencing very poor coverage in one specific aisle, which was forcing the staff to have to walk up and down the aisle to have to complete their product ordering. But with the Mist APs deployed, those all disappeared, those issues. Either because RRM automatically tuned the RF profile to fill the coverage gap, or because Mist highlighted to us a true coverage hole and clearly showed Musgrave how to fix it. And all of this can be validated through Mist's SLEs, which provide a real-time, evidence-based view of the performance of your network in-store. And finally, what can other retail IT leaders take away from Musgrave's journey, our journey? One is embrace automation and APIs. Eliminate the manual repetitive tasks like site configuration and device assignments. Automation frees your team for higher value work and reduces manual errors. Second is to trust proactive AI-driven tools. AI is now foundational to building a proactive, self-driven network. Features like RRM optimize the wireless environment, automatically ensuring stable connectivity without the need for manual tuning. 3 is validate solutions with a proof of concept. I mean, all vendors' demos and PowerPoints end up just looking the same, but only a proof of concept shows how a solution performs in the real world. With Juniper Mist, the intuitive dashboard and AI-driven insights quickly demonstrated their ability to be able to cut through the network noise and surface only what really mattered. 4, unify your infrastructure. A cloud-native, single pane of glass platform allows seamless management across hundreds of sites, giving visibility, control, and consistency all from one place. And lastly, future-proof your network. Reliable, high-performance connectivity is essential. It's what enables every future digital initiative to succeed in our stores, supporting everything from wireless devices, in-store systems, and customer-facing applications. So Juniper Mist AI and automation, they're not just operational upgrades. They're what gives Musgrave a network ready for the next decade. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Kevin. Awesome. Wow, that really sounds like I'm selling something. You got to buy now, otherwise you can't leave the room. Really, the best way to actually experience this. So first things first, if you're an Aruba customer and happy, stay where you are. There is no concern. I want you to have no concern in terms of the roadmap, the viability, and the vibrancy of investment into Aruba. If you're a Mist customer and you're happy, stay where you are. If you want to explore Mist for whatever reason, there are a few choices. First is this, what we call this AI on Us offer, which is probably the best way to get a building's worth of Wi-Fi for $10,000. Those are Wi-Fi 7 APs selling at less than the cost of a home AP. So for your first building up to 40 APs, we actually do this program called AI on Us. Again, if you want to try Mist, please connect with us and we will let you know. I think that's about all we had. We have exactly 2 minutes before they shut us out. Maybe any questions? Hard questions better? Any questions are okay? Super. And yes? Yeah.
So he mentioned that do a POC. There is another option available to you. Bring your worst use case to us. Yesterday, I interviewed one of the Misfits, and he very happily mentioned that we put Mist at one of the worst sites with the most problems, and they saw a turnaround. It was working flawlessly, and then it got rolled out everywhere. So if you can't do POC, put it in the ugliest of environment. How is that? Yeah. Because you have nothing to lose. It was failing anyways.
Yeah.
And try it out.
Super. I see no questions. We will be outside because they want us out of the room. So thank you so much. Really see you out there.